This is going to be a fun video. So I have shot the Remington 870 since I was a teenager. This is the shotgun I've always had. Spent a lot of time with this thing. And you?
I own the Mossberg 500. Now this is the Flex model, but I've owned this for several years now. And this is what I take out shooting.
So, as two owners of the two most popular cheap shotguns that you'll just find everywhere, except during a pandemic.
Apparently.
We're going to review them and talk about the things that we like and don't like. So we went out to the range and we switched guns. I took the Mossberg, you took the 870.
Yep.
And we were able to notice some of the peculiarities. So I'm not going to bury the lead. For me, this is the number one thing that I have a problem with the Mossberg 500 is this. When I put my hand comfortably on the grip and I reach to that trigger, it is a far reach to get there. I have pretty normally sized hands.
Yeah.
And I really just barely
and
reach
it's the
out
same
to
for
it.
me. I have pretty good big hands, and still same for me. Now we don't know if that's because it's the Flex model and the stock, the mechanism in there. The Flex model basically allows me to change out the stock, the pump, everything without any tools. And so it has this little thing kind of built into the stock, and I'm not sure if that's adding space here. If it is, that could be the cause. But if you're looking between the two and you decide on a Mossberg, make sure that you go check that. Like, you should have a nice
almost
90 degree,
yeah.
and that's what I have here, very comfortably, very easily. And you should be able to have that. So make sure you check that on whichever gun you're going to buy.
That's my biggest beef with the Mossberg. What's your biggest beef with the 870?
My biggest beef with, again, this particular gun is the action. It sticks a lot.
It does.
I noticed that many times I take a shot and then
You gotta
have to jerk it real good.
Yeah.
And you told me, I mean, you've greased the thing up, you've cleaned it, you've done everything, and for some reason the action on this thing.
And it's important to note, this is an old gun.
Yeah,
this is
it's
several
not
years
brand
old.
new,
It's
needing to be
seen
broken in.
hundreds or thousands of rounds through this
Yep.
thing, and still it sticks. And that's not unique to this copy of it.
Right.
The Remington 870, one of the ways that they're making it cheap is that they're not doing all of the polishing that they really should
Do that on the
little tiny
scale.
Yeah, you get the Wingmaster and stuff, and they're going to start doing it. And it does just stick. And it's not just this one. I've talked to lots of 870 owners, and maybe not all of them, but many 870 owners say, it does just jam. You got to get some jeweler's polish and get through. And you can fix it, but you shouldn't have to on a new gun. Even if it's cheap, you don't want that to happen.
Now, other than that, there are some really specific, distinct differeres between the two, but most of the normal things about shooting these two guns, they are basically the same gun. There's just not a lot of differences. They're both extremely customizable. There are a lot of different options. You can get both of these in tactical. You can get, there's dozens of different options for each one. They're both solid, good guns at about the same price point. But there are a few distinctions between the two that are mostly a matter of preference, which one you're going to like better.
Yeah, to me, the biggest one, the thing that I liked about the Mossberg is the weight. You feel the difference between these two. Even this is obviously a wood stock, but even we compared the synthetic stocks, the Mossberg is substantially lighter because it doesn't have a steel receiver. And so it's going to save quite a bit of weight, and that's nice. Except for a lighter gun is going to kick more, right?
Yep.
It's not soaking up as much. Wrong! Because what we found shooting it is like the recoil felt the same.
Yep.
And it's because the butt pad on the 870 might as well be made of brick.
Yeah.
It's technically rubber, but it has zero give whatsoever. It's like one of those Mosin Gaunts where they had a steel butt pad.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's no purpose to that. This thing has a squishy butt pad.
And that's a normal butt pad on the Mossberg 500. There are, again, this is the Flex, so I can just pop it off easily enough. And there are various options, but you can remove and replace that on any one of them. And this is just kind of the average one, and it's much softer.
And who doesn't want a squishy butt?
Yeah, exactly. The other thing I noticed on this particular barrel, again, this varies based on the barrel, but this barrel does have relief up here that is helping. it is helping with that recoil quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
So between those two things, I could not tell a noticeable difference between the recoil on the two guns, despite the fact that this is much lighter.
Yeah, it was a big difference. And easy to replace a butt pad, but still, you'd hope you don't have to.
Yep.
One thing that does annoy me on the Mossberg 500 is they always put this guide bead here. You know, you have your main bead that you're sighting off of, and then they have this little side one. I get it. I get why you would have it. You know, it just helps further alignment, right? But I just have never had the problem that my rail is sideways when I'm shooting. And so to me, it's just visual clutter when I'm really trying to focus on the clay and not anything on the rail.
I get that. I have had the problem where, for me on the shot, my rail's not off sideways, but it's off up and down. So I don't realize that I'm not looking flat on the rail. I know that's maybe just an amateur mistake. And so it is kind of a nice thing as a beginner to be able to just say, oh, I just got to line those two up and get used to that muscle memory.
Yeah,
but realistically, you've just got to look down the barrel and it's fine.
Right. To me, that actually harms it because of that visual clutter. If I just don't see rail, I'm doing it right. Anyway, just preference, but...
Other things that are definitely different, and these are definitely a matter of preference. The safety. On the Mossberg 500, they have the Tang style safety, which is up here on the top. That's what that means.
I prefer that.
I like that. I can see it when I'm looking down. I can see the red there. I know that it's fire. Also, ambidextrously, either hand, I can switch it on and off from the firing position as opposed to needing to, oh, I just took a shot. I'm going to turn the safety on. The other thing that's different is the action release here. On the Remington, it's up here in front of the trigger. You can see it right there. On the Mossberg, it's here behind. What I like about that is even from this position, I can just move I can keep my trigger finger out. I can just move my middle finger under and I can cycle the action.
Yeah, I think both of those things are better on the Mossberg. I like the position of the safety. A Tang safety is the most intuitive. You hand somebody a gun who's never used one, they get it.
Yeah.
This style of safety, people, you kind of got to, I mean, it's not hard at all.
It's not hard.
But I'm just thinking for somebody who goes to the store and just buys it, who has no training in a gun, I want it to be as simple as possible so they don't get hurt. Okay, so that I like the position of the safety better. I bet I like the position of the release better. So in terms of ergonomics, in that sense, I like the Mossberg.
One other thing, though, that for me wins out on the Remington is the magazine tube, right? This is a tube where you can store extra rounds, right? And I can fill this thing up. But the magazine tube, the end, the cap here, it's threaded on the inside of the tube. And so if I wanted to extend this, I have to replace the entire tube. Whereas you can see with the Remington, it's threaded on the outside of the tube. So you can actually just purchase a tube extender, add some length to it, and have a few more rounds. With this one, you have to buy a longer tube, and because of the way the barrel attaches, you have to buy a replacement barrel as well that has the attachment further out. So there's substantially more cost involved in being able to extend that. So again, if you're gonna buy the Mossberg, buy one with with the capacity that you want, because customizing that is more work. Obviously, you can do it, you can buy tubes for it, but with the Remington, you could start with this, and if you want to down the road, just add a little extension on there, no problem.
Another small thing is the extractor is much easier to replace on the Mossberg than the 870 because it's either welded or riveted in there.
Yeah, with this one, it's just a screw. You just unscrew it, replace the extractor. Those don't go out frequently.
Not frequently, but it's something.
Yeah.
But
you'd have to take it to a gunsmith. I could just do it myself.
Yes. In addition to the Remington sticking, the other sticking point, see what I did there, that I have with the 870 is the metal rusts so easily. It's crazy. So many times I've taken care of this thing, I've oiled it, I've done whatever I need to, and you come back to it and there's just this light rust on the barrel. And it's fine, but you want your guns well taken care of. I'm kind of a guy who just wants everything either stainless or Cerakoted, so I just don't ever have to think of it. But even taking care of this thing, man, it rusts easily. I've seen that on more than one Remington gun. Their bluing process I don't think is adequate, and so that's one thing I don't like. So Mossberg 500 or Remington 870. I have been a long time 870 user, and I'm converted. If I were buying today, I'd get the Mossberg 500. How about you?
And I'd stick with the 500 that I have. Again, if you're going to go buy the 500, just actually go put your finger on it, hold it up, put your hand on it where it's going to be comfortable, and check that distance of the trigger. I'm halfway through my index finger just to touch it. I have just gotten used to that on my shotgun.
But that will affect
it
your
will
shooting
affect your
ability.
shooting. So
that to me even would be to the point of a deal breaker. But I do think it's going to be because of this flex. We tried to go find other versions so that we could compare it, and we couldn't find one in stock.
apparently, yeah, pump shotguns are sold out these days.
We have lots of videos on shotguns, especially a shotgun basics video if you're a total beginner, how to hit a clay, all those kind of videos. So subscribe to Backfire, and YouTube will use the power of AI to push videos that we have made similar to this one into your feed over the next few weeks.